So if someone was to be, thinking about coming to the UK to teach, what step do you think they should follow? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Immigrant Voices and Victories. Oh, it is season 3. What a wonderful time we've had on the 2 seasons of Immigrant Voices and Victories. And we're so excited about the impacts, that Immigrant Voices and Victories is making out there, inspiring so many other immigrants. And, we can only be thankful to God for the people He's bringing our way and for the impact the podcast is making. And that's why we are here, to inspire as many immigrants as possible. So if you're new here, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Immigrant Voices and Victories is your platform to learn, connect, and be inspired. And today we've got a wonderful guest. She's a teacher. She's got a PGCE in primary education, and that means she's an expert. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, we are. We've paid our dues.
She studied, interestingly, the same course I studied in Nigeria as an undergraduate. She's a microbiologist, so we are colleagues on that level. On the teacher one, keep me out of that one. Yeah, we've got Ifeoma here. Welcome on board Immigrant Voices and Victories. Wow, awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Yemz, for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And well done for all the hard work and inspiring people through your videos and getting people to share their stories. I think it's very powerful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We're excited to host you here. So tell us, from Nigeria to UK, what was the motivation? You dumped microbiology. I'm not offended for saying. And here you are. You're a teacher in the United Kingdom. So what was your motivation?
So just a very quick backstory. So I studied microbiology. That was my first degree. Which was not quite what I wanted, but I wanted to study medicine. But you know how education is in
Nigeria. Doctors, that's what they call it.
Exactly. So I studied microbiology, and I think by the time I was finishing microbiology, I really wanted to know where I could work and what I could do. But I noticed that I was more interested in the lecturing aspect. Like I wanted to teach. Teaching came to me naturally. But I wanted something that was, lucrative and, had that, high standard, you can't say you want to go into teaching. So lecturing was the way to go. And for you to delve into lecturing, you have to get your master's. You can't lecture with the BSc. So I decided to go and get my master's in medical microbiology. I did that from Unilag. So the moment I was done with my master's, I started trying to get a lecturing job. And I would say anytime I look back and reflect on it, I think I just didn't have mentors that could guide me on how to go about it, because the few people that I spoke to and some opportunities I saw at the time, everyone just kept saying, you have to start your PhD, you have to be PhD in view. And I'm like, for God's sake, I just spent a lot of money getting my master's. Like, I need to start doing something. So I had to sit back and I asked myself, what exactly do you want to do? You want to teach. The thing is, you enjoy teaching. It's just you have chosen that you want to teach, the higher education. You want university because you get more money, it's more status, you get to do your PhD, be a doctor, be a professor. But the core is that you actually just enjoy teaching. So when it was becoming very frustrating, I just woke up one morning, did my research, found some schools. At the time, I was in Lagos, big schools, British international schools, or like those top schools in Lekki. I got there, drafted out my CV, everything, and I went to those schools and I wanted to teach. So luckily for me, someone picked me. a school took a shot. They were impressed with, I had a degree, and they were impressed with the fact that I was passionate about teaching, and that's really what I wanted to do. And so they gave me a shot, and that's how I started my teaching career in Nigeria without even a formal education background. So I became a science teacher in a primary school, and I did that for 5 years. And then I think at my third year, I was already asking myself, there has got to be more. And I also saw that the fact that I didn't have an education background, I felt like it was going to prevent me from actually scaling up or not being able to step into certain rooms. So it could be that, for you to be a head teacher, for example, you've not got an education background, and that will put you aside. I didn't want anything to set me apart from not getting to the heights in teaching. Like if I was going to be in teaching, I should be able to get to the top, be able to step into any room and everyone would know that I'm a professional and I'm good at what I'm doing. So it meant that I needed to get a backup qualification. Meanwhile, I was also trying to move from the school where I was teaching and delve into those other bigger schools. You know how Lagos is, the schools are in Kidas. So yeah, I was trying to actually get into those schools and it was not working. So anytime it would either be, oh, you don't have enough experience or you don't have an education background, you don't have, you don't have your NCI, for example, like you don't have a degree. So there was always that one thing that was limiting me from actually flowing. So in the midst of all that frustration and everything, one day I was coming back from work and it was like, why not just go and become a teacher in the UK? If you get the teaching license from the UK. And at the time as well, I'd already tried to do a postgraduate diploma in education so that I could get my NTI as well. So I'd done that. But I did that with National Teachers Institute. And I didn't want to even state that I got a diploma from them because I was not proud of the provision that was offered to me, So I was like, I need something a lot better. I need something that is very enriched. I need some, this is not the kind of quality that I want for myself. So, and then the idea of just coming to the UK. So at the time when I conceived the idea, it was more like come to the UK, become a licensed teacher, and then come back to Nigeria and come here and teach in some of those schools. So like there's no school that I walk into and tell them that I have got a qualification from a university in the UK and I maybe probably taught in like for a year or two and I come here and you don't take me. You will take me. Do you understand? So
you were ready to intimidate them with your experience.
And I felt that was also going to give me an edge and that was going to polish my skills. Like whatever skills that I had came from the experience I had on the job and also came from my natural, just my natural flair for teaching. So I felt that in addition to coming to train here would really truly polish it and just make me a more refined professional. So yeah, that was how I decided. That was it, and I found myself here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So what were the most significant challenges you faced, say at the University of Nottingham when you were doing your PGCE as an international student?
So I would say first, I didn't have an education background. All of my educational pursuit has always been in science. And there's a clear difference between sciences and social sciences. So that for me was it was an adjustment I needed to make. There was a lot of writing that has to be did. There's a lot of, you have to, if you say this strategy would work, you have to be able to back it up with resources of people that have done it. Meanwhile, in sciences, you can make hypotheses, and then you test it to see if it works, and then you get your results, So it was very different. So that was an adjustment that I had to make. It meant I had to do a lot of reading, a lot of research. So that was really, challenging. I found that challenging, and I'll be honest. Secondly, I've never traveled outside Nigeria. I've never received teaching or any form of educational provision from a white person or a British person or being in a British class or anything. So the first couple of months was pretty tricky because as they're talking to me, my brain is like going 360 trying to understand what they are saying. When they say, working groups, everyone already understands what they are doing. And it's like, I'm like, what is going on here? I know that they are very subtle things, but those things sort of they hit my confidence, because I was coming from a place where I was very confident. I was coming while back in Nigeria, I was like one of those really where I say like really strong teachers, and I was doing well for myself at the time. So I was coming to a place where it was like I knew nothing, like you're starting from the scratch. So that sort of hit my confidence. So I talked less in class. You wouldn't see me make contribution, because while I'm sat there, I'm really trying to understand
what's happening.
What's happening? What are they saying? What does this mean? What does this look like in
the
a classroom
accent
setting?
and everything.
Do you understand? So all those things, and it was overwhelming. So I would say for the first 2 months, the whole experience it was full on, and it was just too much for me.
Too much.
But what I had to do was I had to like slow down and say to myself, yes, this is all new. So you have to give yourself grace, and understand that this is a process, it's a journey. So I had to body up with someone who, a friend who, understands what's going on, and, and we'll talk a lot. So when they say something in class and I'm like, what do they even mean? And then she would like, explain to me, one-to-one. So that alone started helping me. And gradually, when we have assignments, we'll do it together. Okay, what do we do about it? She had an education background, so it was easy for her. So that sort of helped me as well. Secondly, or I would say thirdly, it was finances. That was another challenge I found, because University of Nottingham was quite pricey. The tuition was quite expensive. So I found that challenging. And when I was coming from Nigeria, everybody who I spoke to who had come to do like a postgraduate study kept saying to me, oh, you're going to have 20 hours to work. Don't worry, you would work. You'll be able to raise your tuition. They just keep telling you that narrative. It was not the same for me. And that's what it taught me, is that when you're coming down to the UK to study, make sure you know exactly what your course is like, what your course would look like on a regular day, and know if it is feasible for you to actually work. So I took that idea and thought that when I come down here, I would be able to work to raise my tuition. That was a very fat lie. I was coming in where I was doing, like, I had to be in uni and also had to be on placement. When I'm on placement, I am there as a full-time teacher from 7:30 a.m. up until 4 p.m. So the whole day is gone. And then when I'm getting back home, I'm literally planning my lessons for the next day. So I thought that I could, how we Nigerians
also
I could do so I did that for a week. When I come back, I'll just take like maybe like 4-hour shift, or like 6-hour shift. I'll realize that by the time I'm sleeping, maybe I've only slept for like 2 hours, and then the next morning I'm awake going back. I realized that when I got to placement, I was tired, I was cranky, and my mentor could already spot that I'm not okay, and then, like had to report to my university tutor. Oh, when she comes into class, she's always very tired. So I had to explain to them, and they told me, oh, you can't walk. You can't. They had to tell me, like, that's why we said it at the beginning of this course. You cannot walk, because we need you to be 100% sane all the time. That was a very big challenge for me, because my bills had to be paid, my tuition had to be paid, and I didn't have enough time to use all of my 20 hours to work. So I had to restrict my working to weekends. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I grab as many shifts as I can. Make sure that within those 3 days, I use them, and I make sure that I'm still getting time to plan my lessons. I'm filling in all my evidence form, because what we're doing in the placement is more evidence-based. So whatever you're doing, you have a form that you have to fill, and you have to submit it weekly. So that form has to, because they have to track what you are doing, and then your mentor would have, in placement, would have had a lesson observation. Both of you would have had a conversation. You set a target for the next one. So all of those documentation, you have to have sent it by Friday. Max on Saturday. Everything has to be in that folder. So I have to make sure that I have done all of this before Friday, because I know that Saturday and Sunday is not for me. Saturday and Sunday is for working. And you can imagine how much shift are you going to do within 20 hours that would get you to raise, 18,000 pounds. So that was exhausting.
This must have been a very big transition for you.
It was,
Right.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And so whenever I talk to people who want to come down here to PGC, I tell them, I said, if you can get at least 50% of your tuition before you get here, it eases up that pressure from you. So you know that you're not trying to look for 90%, you're not trying to look for 80%. That eases you. Or if you're coming here with the mindset, or if you're coming, you come either with your spouse. So your spouse is working as much as 40 hours, and then you are augmenting with 20 hours, and then you can focus, because the course is quite intense. It's intense. They designed it in a way that you would feel what it's like to be in a real school situation as a teacher, in addition to being a university student. So you still have assignments from uni, you still have things to do. So it's a lot, and it's all packed within a year because you're starting from September, and by July you're done. So
I was
it's full on.
I was actually going to ask that, because when you're talking about placement, when I was checking and you did some placement, I was trying to understand. I thought the placement was after your studies.
No, both uni and placement go hand in hand. So their weeks would be in uni. You go there, you do your teaching, they do all the theory, they give you all the theory. Once they fed you with the theory, you go back into the placement. So those things that you have learned during your theory, you already have, we had we call it PGCE Bible. So you already had that. So there are set of things that they want you to observe when you now get to the placement, linked to whatever you've been taught at the uni, and then you would write your reflection on it, what you think or what your experience is. So it's very personalized. You can't copy somebody. You can't borrow idea from anybody. It is your own reflection. So it's your own understanding of what you've been taught, what you've seen in your own placement, and what you think about it, and you write it. It's so personalized.
So I think that's very good, actually, because it's like an apprenticeship. Because it means at the end of your PGCE, you are actually a made teacher.
Yeah. To be honest, I enjoyed every part of it. One of those things that it made me become a very reflective teacher. It made me know what my strengths were and what my weaknesses were. What the course helped me to do was to be able to articulate those skills, those strategy, and say, you do this. This is the impact of what you do. So the course is very rich. It's just, I wish it was not that full on. I wish we could just do uni. When we're done with uni, then do placement, or less pressure from uni as well, and just focus more on the placement. Or everything has to go, or they just expand the time frame. But the fact that we had to, so for the placement now, you are starting the school year in September when the children start a year, and then June when it's towards summer, that's when you're finishing as well. So you see a whole year.
We also interviewed Rita Shaw on this channel, and our own path was different. So if someone was to be, thinking about coming to the UK to teach, what steps do you think they should follow?
Okay, so I think at the moment there are several routes now to going about it. So first, I think the first and major way is for an international teacher. You must have a first degree, and then you have to apply through the UK government. There was a separate body that you had to apply through, which was UCAS. But I think now they have changed it and moved it onto the government website. So you apply directly to the government website. So once you apply there, you are only allowed to select 3 university choices. And then you put in you choose your schools of choice. And before you select those schools, you make sure you have done your background check to be sure that you're happy with the school, you're happy with the tuition, you're happy with the provision, and you are sure that 1 year is 1 year. You have done your research about those schools. So you put that. So you have, I think they've increased it to 4 choices now. During my time, it was 3 choices. So now they've increased it to 4 choices. So once you do that, they send all your credentials to the school, because you filled in a form. You also have to write a personal statement, and that personal statement has to be really good. They make sure that there's no punctuation error. It has to be 100%. So once you've done that, sent in, and your referees, everything, if the schools would receive your application, if they like what they see, they're interested, they'll send you an email. Depending on some school structures, you would have to write a test and do an interview. And that interview would involve doing a physical interview and also do like a micro teaching. So you do like a teaching. So they'll present you with some lessons, and either in maths, English, or science, and ask you to teach online. So you choose which one you feel comfortable to teach, and they do that. So if you scale through that, then the school will offer you an admission. You can only choose one. If all your 4 choices, if you're so good and the 4 choices offer you, you're only allowed to choose one. So you choose one, and once you've chosen one, they inform the rest that you have made your choice, and that's it. So that's for the PGCE, and then you start. That's the way to go. And then I think it was last year the government came up again with another pathway, and they were looking specifically for science based teachers, so teachers who can teach physics, chemistry, or any form of sciences, not agric science anyway. And then languages either French or Spanish, if you can teach any of those languages. So all you need to do is go again to the government's website, fill in the form, upload all of your documents, and then you also have to be licensed from your country. So for Nigeria, for example, so you have to have that license as well, and then you upload it. So once you upload that, the UK government will be the one to verify that you have been licensed. I think you have to pay a fee for that verification. So once you've done that and they are happy with you, they would award you the license, which is the QTS. But once you now have the license, which is the QTS, that you then can now apply for the job. But which is the tricky part, because you are in Nigeria. And the way application of jobs work here, you have to be in the country. So that process would work best for people who are already in the country, or they already have a right to work. So once they have that license, then they can go into applying for a teaching role and get a job. And then that's one way. There's still another pathway again. Is if you don't want to be a fully qualified teacher, you can be a HLTA. So they call that a higher learning teaching assistant. So it means you have a degree. You have either a degree or you have just even your GCSE, like the way they say GCSE, like you have your WAEC. However, you applied for this program, and this program you would need to get a school where you are going to be working in. So you work there as a TA while you are on the program. So you have to, and that school where you're working in has to be happy to sponsor you for the course, because there is a funding that has been given to schools from the government to train HLTAs. So if you're lucky to find a school and tell them that, you're in the process of getting your HLTA certification, you would like to work with them, and they are happy to have you, that means they're happy to fund it, because that funding is for them to pay you because you are working. Do you understand? So you're working and you're on the course, so you're getting that experience. So it's more like placement, but you're being paid. I don't know if that makes sense. That kind of thing. It's actually having to find a school that is happy. So some schools advertise and say they want HLTAs, HLTAs in training, HLTAs who have already gotten their certificate. So they are happy. So then you come in. So while you are trying to get the certificate and go through all the teaching and everything, you'll be getting paid by the school. So that's a process, and I think that is for a year or 2. I'm not sure. So, and then once you're done with that, the difference between HLTA is that you're not a fully qualified teacher, so you don't have your license. So when you say HLTA, all you do is you do cover roles. So, for example, I'm a qualified teacher. If I am out of class, or maybe if I can't be in school, for example, maybe I've got doctor's appointment, they will get someone to cover my class. A HLTA will my class and cover. So I would have planned everything, planned all of my lessons, planned everything. All she has to do is come into the class, teach whatever I've planned, and leave. So that's your job. The challenge with that is if you're working with a school, your schedule can look like in the morning you are teaching year 3, then the next is year 4, then the next one could be reception, and then the next one is year 6. So every day, it's just depending on how the school structures everything, you don't have a particular class you're looking at. So you have to be very flexible and have be very skilled in teaching across the entire curriculum, the whole
Wow.
primary curriculum. Because once you enter into the room, you're in year 6, and year 6 is saying, "Oh, today we're doing maybe arts or science today. Today is science, and we're doing electricity." You should be able to deliver electricity lesson and deliver it well, as good as a teacher. You're leaving, and then you're going to year 3, and year 3 is doing maths, and they said multiplication and division. You should be ready. So that's another very intense, but that's a way to go. And the advice I've given to certain people is, because you're not trained, or maybe because maybe you've not had even a teaching experience from Nigeria or anything, this slowly puts in the system for you to know how it works. And it also gives you an opportunity to know if this is what you really want to do with your life. Because if you get to that, you'll be like, "Oh, no, this is not for me." So it gives you the opportunity to be in the system, adjust to the system, blend in. You're doing it at your own pace. And you don't also, as a HLT, you don't have to worry about the admin side of things. You don't have to worry about communicating to parents. You don't have to worry about targets, the children's targets. All those pressure is lifted off your body, your shoulders. The only thing you have to do is show up into the classroom. The teacher tells you what you're teaching, you deliver it, manage the class, you go. So that's still another way. But for that as well, you have to be in the country. You need to already have your right to work. So usually the best option for people who are outside Nigeria, outside the UK, is the PGCE. And so that's usually the best option for them, except you have find a way to be in the school system, or be in the country rather, and then you can now use all these other ways to get into teaching.
Okay. So you mean you can apply for your QTS and all of that from Nigeria? No.
So yeah, you can apply for but the problem is you wouldn't get a job becomes the tricky part, because you are in Nigeria. So by the time you're applying for jobs, most of the schools will be requesting your right to work. That's your visa.
So that means you would have to target schools that can sponsor.
And so like I'll say to people, it's not cast on stone. It's 50-50. Like the chances of you having to get a school that would, because let's be very honest, most schools are still fighting with funding. So instead of spending so much money to bring somebody all the way from Nigeria, who does not have the guarantee that the person will finally get and settle down, it's a lot when they can actually just employ somebody who is here. So that chance is except you are exceptionally good and you prove to them that you are worth them taking. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm yet to meet somebody who has in Nigeria applied for a QTS, got the QTS, and then got a job that brought them to Nigeria, to the UK. I'm yet.
Or maybe any other part of the world, anyway, maybe not just Nigeria. Yeah.
If you have your QTS and you already have your right to work, the chances of you getting a teaching job is very high, because you're already in the country. But if you're outside the country, it becomes harder. That kind of thing.
PGCE is what you advise. Wow, awesome. This interview has been going so well, with so much nuggets from our teacher, Ifeoma. So as an immigrant teacher, let's come. What are some of the pros and cons you've experienced in the UK? I can't hear you speaking. You're right, you're Kai, and you still got your deep core. What are the pros and cons as an immigrant teacher?
Well, so I don't know if this is a pro, but for me, I see it as a pro. I stand out. I don't need to do extra. Do you know what it is? Like in Nigeria, you have to work so hard for people to notice you. Here, I don't have to. Like I step into the room, you already see me.
Yeah.
My name alone, Ifeoma, oh, what country are you from? Oh, no, I'm from Nigeria. So like I see that as a pro. So pro as an immigrant teacher, I think it's also very subjective because
Mm.
no two persons' experience is the same. So I'm going to
Love.
speak from my own experience. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's a very unique experience because I've listened to other people share their own story and
Mm.
how they're getting on, and it's not similar. So I would
Mm.
still say that there's a God factor that is backing me up. And I wouldn't say
Love
that
it.
this is a typical, this is what you would expect, but
Mm.
that's my story. And I think I'm unapologetic about it. For me, I've enjoyed support everywhere I've gone to. And I've
Mm.
also been in each of the spaces I've been, I've always been the only African or the only Nigerian or the only Black person there. So even on the PGCE, I was the only Nigerian, I was the only African in the classroom. So, and I noticed that most people, even for the lecturers, they have never had to have an international teacher. So it was all new for them having me in that space. So I could see them making that effort to make sure that I felt supported, I felt
Mm.
inclusive, I felt like I could see them, try their best. So even
Mm.
when I was having really strong my difficulty with my tuition, I saw them extend the hand of
Mm.
support and help to me,
Mm.
which they didn't have to. I don't
Mm.
think the extent in which they went, the length that they went to support me. Anytime I
Mm.
sit back and I look at it, I know that that's not part of their job. Do you understand? It was
Yeah.
just, no, it's true because as far as they're concerned, you should have sorted out yourself before coming here. Do you get bored? I don't know if it's because I was an immigrant or maybe because some of them could relate to what it's like to be away from home and be in this kind of
Mm.
situation. They were just there to help, there to support. The
Mm.
same thing, even with the placement where I was, they were very
Mm.
supportive. When they heard that I had to work extra, and I was like, okay, how can we do to help? They made sure that I
Mm.
was always having lunch.
Oh.
My mentor would be like, have you had anything to eat? And I'll be like, no, come this way. She'll take me to the kitchen and they'll give me lunch. So
Oh.
that was the support I was getting.
Mm.
And same thing where I am teaching now. I'm the only African, the only Black teacher there. Once we're in a meeting, it's obvious. There's she sat there. You can tell. So seeing that, and so I for me, I just see it like in a very unique position, and
Mm.
I don't want to try to be like them. I
Mm.
want them to be able to understand where I am from and
Mm.
understand my culture and understand. So, and I see that they also have embraced it. So I feel for me, I've been blessed anyway. I'll just put it that way. I've been blessed. I've not
Awesome.
felt different. So, but the cons about it is that you have to also understand their culture, which is
Mm.
very different. So I would say to people, I'll say British culture is on this side, the Nigerian culture were two extremes, you know, two extremes.
Yeah.
The way we respond to things, the way we even have conversations is
Mm.
very a pure British person is extremely polite, extremely tolerant. They don't say everything exactly the way it is. It is left to you to decode exactly what you mean, and that is up to you. Meanwhile, as a typical
Love
Nigerian, I
it.
say it the way it is, and I expect that you get it, and you shouldn't be
Yeah.
offended because I just said what it is. So we're like two different people. So one of the challenges or the cons about that is that you have to you can't say, oh, this is me, I'm a Nigerian, I cannot just change. Oh, you have to learn about their
Mm.
culture and learn how to I would say integrate yourself into their own
This is good.
community because
Mhm.
let's be honest, you left your own home to be here. You can't now come here and then you want them to all of a sudden accept you just the way you are. You are in their own space. So, and for me, even as a teacher who is teaching British children, I saw that it is very pertinent that I understand the culture and know how they see things, how
Mm.
the interaction is, and learn about it. And it's hard.
Mm.
So that's the cool about it, because I'm still
Yeah.
learning from
Mm.
sending emails, from having conversations. There are just certain things I want to say, but I can't say it because I'm overthinking it, or I'm thinking about the best possible way to convey it without
Mm.
sounding rude or without
Mm.
sounding, do you understand? Do we have a problem? I'm like, no, we think that just, things like that. So that has been, so things, what that has done is, in
Mm.
most things you wouldn't hear me speak. It's not like I don't want to speak, but I'm actually trying to read the room and just be sure that whatever I'm about
Mm.
to say would be interpreted the way exactly I want and not misconstrued, and they get it. I
Mm.
know I don't have to put all that pressure on myself, but
Mm.
it's just one of the things that comes with being an
Yeah,
immigrant. It's
I
just one of
know.
those adjustments. But what has
Mm.
helped is the church that I attend is also a white church as well. So that is a free space for me. So when I get there and I say things, I have friends around who will say, no, if you say it this way, it will come out better. Or when this person says this is exactly what they mean. So I learn, I learn the culture. Or when I ask, I'll be like, I want to say this, but what's the best way to say it? Oh, you can do it this way. This is how they will get it, So the church has helped me in community, building community, having to learn all those small talks and small interaction, which they really like. And I
Yeah.
transport that same skill into work,
Yeah.
But am I 100% myself at work? I would say no. I'm not
Mm.
100% myself, and I feel like that's a challenge. But anytime I
Mm.
look at it, I'll be like, that's because you are here. If you were in Nigeria, you be yourself and you be very unapologetic. Anybody who
Yeah.
that's their business and that's it. But here,
Yeah.
you have to understand that you're in a different space. You don't want to be misunderstood.
Yeah.
You don't want to, even as much as you want to be yourself and you embrace who you are, you also have to learn the culture and learn how
Awesome.
interactions are. So yeah, I think that's the core.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I think you're yourself. I think you're yourself. You're just not being a Nigerian.
Exactly. And I also
No,
have
I
people.
think you're yourself because it's like you want to, like you said, there's a way.
Yeah,
We're in a society where there's a system and there's a culture, and you just
exactly.
got to fit in.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
doesn't temper with who you are because you know
Yes.
who you are. So it's not like you're not
Yes.
yourself. You're
Yeah.
just maybe not being Nigerian. Like
Exactly.
when you want
And
to shout, you will like,
exactly.
yeah, you're talking on phone with some customer service. Madam, please, are you shouting? I am
No
not shouting.
shouting. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
And so those are those adjustments that I've had to make.
Yeah.
I don't raise my voice. I don't raise my
Yeah.
voice in
Yeah.
classroom, except it is extreme case. I have to. And once I
Yeah.
raise my, children get the memo that okay, you've really messed up,
Yes.
but I don't try to sound like them. And once I have kids coming, the first introduction I have to them is hi everyone, my name is Ifeoma. Can you guess where I'm from? We'll do all those guessing and they say I'm Nigerian, and I would just do that pep talk. I said, I would not sound like you. I
Eh?
may not sound like you, and I'm not going to try to sound like you. So you're going to try to make sure that you listen when I speak because I wouldn't sound British. And I'm also going to try to listen to you because I'm not used to British people speaking. So it's both of us having to learn, So I do that, and I sort of see that the children understand, okay, like they feel I feel comfortable now. I don't feel on the edge like I have to create a persona for them, and then for
Yeah.
them, they're now interested in coming into my world. So I see them even asking me questions. So you guys speak English in Nigeria? I'm like, yeah. Look at me, I'm speaking English. So I can make mistakes. I get away
Yeah.
with it. I can pronounce the word in a different way that I'm used to pronouncing it, and I will be hearing children in the background say, "Come on, she's Nigerian," so it's her accent. It's just her accent, Yes, I'm like, yeah. I'll
I
just say,
love
yeah,
it.
it's my accent, things like that. So, and for me, it's also telling the children that it's okay to be authentic. You don't have
Yeah,
to
so there you go. You're being yourself. Honestly, you
you
are.
don't have to. So, and I've had friends, friends in Nigeria say, your accent has not changed. I said, change from what? I'm an adult. I came here as an adult. Within 3 years, you want me to be doing
Wow.
that's not real now.
Awesome. Love it. So tell us, what is your proudest moment as a teacher in the United Kingdom or as an immigrant? What's your proudest moment, you think?
I think I've had a lot of proud moments.
Okay, let's get the proudest.
Well, I think my proudest moment would be finally having to graduate, and I got my what's it called, my profile on University of Nottingham's website, sharing my own story. I think that's one very proud moment because I didn't see myself as one of those high flyers or anything, but I think with the progress that I was making on the course, they obviously recognized me. I also know that it's also part of the fact that I'm an immigrant that also got me that spot, But it was good to know that you went through a path and you just didn't just go through it, but people actually noticed your input and noticed your effort that you made. So yeah, that's that's one of my proudest. Also, I think it would also be on the job. Every single time that I nail my targets, like they observe my lesson and they tell me, oh, this is how much progress you made. I feel so proud because there are just some things that when you look at yourself, it's not like I'm trying to underestimate what it's like to be a Nigerian teacher, but it's just I'm sure with that whole colonial mindset, we have always seen ourselves as less and seen them as above. But I have realized that there's no difference. We're just humans. We're just humans and we all have the capacity. So when I achieve those things, I sit back and I look, I'm like, after all, yeah, it's not a function of whether black or white. It's not a function of what part
The
of the world.
skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's skill. So you've got it. So and anytime that happens, I'm not just looking at myself as just, oh, it's just Ifeoma. It's like I'm looking at a country. This is Nigeria.
Yeah.
This is a continent. So
Love it.
I have colleagues that have never come in contact or worked with a Nigerian or worked with an African. And I just feel like I am giving them the first
Yeah.
hand experience of a Nigerian, and it's a good one. It's an excellent one. So
Wow.
it's like whenever I'm not there again, the next time they'll have to speak, oh, I used to know about a Nigerian. She was, I don't know if that makes sense.
Great.
She is,
Yeah.
you understand? So those moments like that make me really proud because it's like it's not just you as an individual. It's a whole country. It's a whole continent. You are becoming like an example. So
Love it.
yeah.
Yes, you're the model that,
Yeah,
we are all
exactly. Yeah.
models, isn't it, out there?
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
once you see me, you know that I'm different. I don't need to explain.
Exactly. I don't need it. I need no introduction.
Awesome. This has been a very wonderful
Yeah.
interview with Ifeoma
Yeah.
Uchendi. I hope I
Yes.
pronounced that
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is your advice to immigrants who are aspiring to, become teachers in the UK? What should they prepare for? How best should they present themselves? How best should they, start thinking about success? What is your advice for immigrants in the UK?
Okay. So first things first, and like I've always said to those I've come across, I will tell them, be very sure that this is what you want to do. Don't
Mm,
teaching here is not it's not just a means to an end. It's
mm,
a calling. That's the way we
mm,
see here because you will still come into that space. Even in Nigeria, we complain about it not being valued, we're still undervalued and everything, but it's around the whole world. The same problem in America, the same thing we're clamoring for here. What makes us sleep well at night is the fact that there's a child in my class who every single day they come into that classroom, they have learned something. I have added value into their life, and I can predict what their future would look like as an adult. So it's a calling, So if you don't see yourself yet in that space, you're not seeing it as a calling, you're not seeing it as something you're really passionate about. You're not seeing it as, even if I'm paid less for this, I will still do it, even though that's not what we want, but you are happy to still do it, wake up every morning and still do this particular thing. If you're not yet in that space, then take time to sit down and think about what you want to do, because once you come here, it will test you. It will really test if your intentions are genuine, and you don't want to go through all that. I just explained to you what the process is like. You don't want to go through all of that for something that is not what you're passionate about or what you feel you're called to do. So that's why I always tell people. So don't see it as another relocation scheme. It's not. And then secondly, if you think that you want to upscale, you're already passionate, and you want to upscale from, the gap between teaching in Nigeria and in the UK, there's still that very big gap professionally in terms of how much skill you have to put in place and how much knowledge you have to own and you have to embrace. There's a lot. So wherever you are, if you're still in Nigeria, just ensure that you are not settling for less. You're not comfortable with basic. If you are there, you can't be basic. If you want to fit in here, you can't be basic in Nigeria. You have to stretch yourself, look for other ways, step out of your comfort zone, own your skill, become more of a professional. And it's not only just knowledge based, even in your speaking, in your composure, in your communication, brush all those things. There's a way you polish yourself so that when you stand in this space and you say you are a teacher, everyone looks at you. You're a teacher, because there's already a narrative they have about teachers. So when you stand and I still get that a lot when I tell people I'm a teacher. They're like, some people feel you're too smart to be a teacher. I'm like, but that's what you need. You need someone smart. That's not what you need, things like that. So there's a lot of personal development that you need, brushing yourself, your composure, your confidence, do all of that. Because once you come in here, these are things that come to them naturally, that don't come to us naturally. And also get mentorship, get someone in that space. If it's someone who is already abroad, who is teaching, or someone who that maybe has got some international experience or something, get mentorship. Get somebody, who is thriving up there to learn from, pick things from. They help a lot. They help to also refine your skills, because they're mentoring you. You're learning from them. They're helping you to, well, this is your strength. This is the area I think you should work on. And I'm saying that that's what helped me. I had the director of studies in the school where I was teaching who had worked in the UK for 25 years as a teacher. So by the time he came in, he could already spot me. And I remember the phrase he said to me during that COVID. He just said to me, he said, "Oh, Ifeoma, you are an elephant in a small pond." That was what he said to me. I was like, I knew it. In my head, I was like, I knew it. I knew there was something about me. That's the power of mentorship. And I've been with him, like he still mentors me even up until now. I tell him of how much adjustments I'm making when things are hard. This is it. And he just gives me tips and everything. So mentorship plays a very strong role. What else? Make sure you save up money, because here there's no free money. You work for every £1. So if you're coming here, please make sure you already have your finance ready or a plan. Because it's not funny. Yeah, but those are the few things I would say. Yeah.
Wow, what a closing remark. Get mentorship, save up money, keep learning, don't stop
Yeah.
learning, and
Yeah.
before you know what's going on, you'll be an elephant in a pond. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. So wonderful to have you here on Immigrant Voices and Victories.
Yeah.
We're so
Thank you so much for
excited.
having me.
Yeah, we're really excited about, the difference you're making out there, adding values to children. And I'm sure
Yes.
your children will see this video and they will be so proud. That's my
Be proud
teacher.
of me, obviously.
Be proud
Oh,
of
they
you.
will be.
And well, I'm so excited about your uniqueness as well. And thank you so much for being so honest
And
and open about your
yeah,
experience and
thank you.
story. And we are so excited about, the so many breakthroughs that is yet to come for you. So
Yeah, you're
interesting
welcome.
how I met Ifeoma. It was through, Teachers Upskill Program in Nigeria when
Yeah.
they invited her 2023 actually on my
Yeah.
birthday. They had an event and she was a facilitator. It's so interesting, this world is such a small place. It was later after we connected, we found out that we had mutual friends. She went to RHN, Railroad House, Nottingham, and all that. But, the little things we do, it just go places. So thank you to
Exactly.
you guys, for connecting myself and Ifeoma. We're
Yeah,
so
thank
grateful.
you.
So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do like this video, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. Season 3 is packed. Like, this is just a teacher. Oh my God, the things that are coming your way. We just want, you out there, you, yes, I mean you, to be inspired to do your next big thing with all these stories. We can't wait. When you become a head teacher, we'll bring you back and interview you. Yay! Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And we'll
Yeah.
see you in the next episode. God bless you. No limits.